These strips are kind of a black design on the right side, and then this is the wrong side. So these are 2.5-inch strips, and so I just keep the remaining or the extra strips in my lap, and I like to use the block lock to draw my line, and but I'll show it using just a regular square ruler as well. So the first thing I do is I take the first strip and I lay it wrong side up, and I lay it at a 45 across my table, and I place my block lock so that the block lock logo is at the bottom, and I just push it up against the this edge here so it locks right in. And a lot of times we leave our selvage on these strips because they're going to get cut off anyways, so you can slide this up or down depending on how much excess you want to cut off. And then I would I use the friction pen, but please note that these pens do not come off with the iron if you use batik fabrics. I've been noticing that, so this is not a batik. So, and then I would draw my line there. But if you don't have a block lock ruler to lock in on this edge, you can do the same thing with just a regular square ruler. Use the 45, line it up with, you know, in the same manner, so that your line, when you're at a 45 here, you can see your line is straight. That's your stitching line, is going to feed in straight into your sewing machine. So you would line that up and then draw your line. So I'm going to just use the block lock because it's just easier. It locks right in. And my strips are starched, so I starched them and pressed them before I even cut them. So starch and press, then cut, and then this step. So I'm just going to let this much overhang. Even though these aren't selvage edges, they're not, obviously you can see it's not cut at a 90. So then we'll go ahead and I'll draw this line. And I apologize, I'm left-handed, so I might be in the camera. We're all right-handed when we're at the machine, but we just lefties have to work around it. So there's my line, and so that's on the wrong side of the fabric. Then I take my next strip, and this strip is going to be right side up, and then we're going to slide it underneath, and then so that right sides are together. And then it's a little bit of a mess here. Okay. So I'm going to get my excess up here. And then I can shift this fabric up or down depending on how much of this fabric I want to cut off. So I'll just put it right about there. And you want this point here, or this end of this line, to line up with the edge of your fabric. And then the end of this line to line up with this edge. And you can see this one is not lined up. So I just kind of put my finger there where this one is lined up, and then pivot this one a little. And then once they're both lined up, can place your pin, and I like to place my fingers like that, and then just that pin didn't want to go in. Place my pin there, far away from the line so that I don't have to remove the pin. I like to place pins, so some people just wing it. So there you have it. So that one is lined up, and I can zoom in on that. So the end of this line is lined up right in this L shape here, right where this edge is, and then the end of this line is meeting up with this edge, this L shape. So let's zoom out. So we'll go ahead and we'll put a little plug in, and I'll put the plug in at a 45. Oh, this is the wrong foot. I just want to use the regular foot for this because we're following a line. So, okay. And I have it on just a regular stitch, no back spacing or anything. The stitch length is 2.2 millimeters. So we'll go ahead, I'll start with needle down, and I'll start my plug, get it almost to the end, lift up my presser foot, push this in right up against the needle, and then lower the presser foot. And then I'll go ahead and stitch, and I'll hold my finger down here. So I'll come to the end and I'll stop in the needle down position. So now this second piece that we had put on is right side up, but like I said before, it can't always be right side up because now it has to be wrong side up. So the way we do it is we just take it in our right hand and just go through it, feed it through our hands until we get down to the bottom. And when we get to the bottom, we take the flap and we turn it so that we're making like a little triangle here. We're making a 90-degree turn. So we were like this, and we just turn it so that now it's wrong side up. So now that it's wrong side up, we put it in a 45 again, just like the first one, and we do the same thing all over again. So I'll take my block lock, decide how much, lock it in to this edge, decide how much I want to get rid of. I'm probably wasting more than I need to, but that's okay. Mark it. Take the next strip, and this strip is right side up, and we put it underneath. And we'll go ahead and line it up. You can see that one too well. Put my finger up there and then pivot this one. That looks about right. my pins. This is pretty heavy fabric. Okay, there we go. And so we'll just go right ahead and lift my presser foot. The needle is still down. I'm just pushing it right up against there. My finger down here, holding it. And we'll just keep doing that all the way through. Take this, feed it through, and then flip it. Like that. Next piece, right side up, put the excess in there so it's out of my way, or rather so it's not dragging. Stick my finger up there, pivot it down here. So I'm just going to go right off the fabric because that was my last piece. Okay, so then we snip them apart, and so you see, you want to check them to make sure they're right, and they are. And I like to be a real heavy 1/4, almost 3/8, and I just eyeball it, and I'll just do them all. Now you can cut these off now, your little little triangles. Sometimes it's easier to cut them after you've pressed it, but I'll just go ahead and what I do is when I'm at the iron, I finger press these. I don't press them and then do all that because it's on the bias, you know, it's on the diagonal, so it's going to be stretchy. So I'd rather just finger press it and then hold the iron down, just because it's on the bias. I mean, it's such a short distance, it probably doesn't matter, but I guess I could have done that when I cut the seam allowances. But course I'm on camera, so I'm forgetting everything. Okay. So that's it. And so, whoops, I forgot this one. And that's it. So then, like I said, at the iron, I'll just finger press each one and hold the iron down, and then I'll press these fold lines that I have at the same time. Fold it in half, press the whole strip, and it'll be ready for attaching to your quilt.